We have swapped over to the Project 1999 server. You see the boat is here at the dock. Doesn't look like the boat did back in the day, but it's still a nice enough boat. We are going to go jump on it right quick. And we are going to take the ride from Butcher Block here over to Freeport through the Ocean of Tears. Because you know, this is the way you traveled back in the day. We didn't have, you'll notice there's no translocator located out here on the dock. There's no little gnome there saying that there's a problem with the boats and I'm here to teleport you around. No, it's like, fix the damn boats. And here we go leaving the dock. And you know, if you ran up, like right now, ran up on the docks like that guy right there is doing, you'll notice that the boat has gone. You have missed the boat. So, yeah. You have to wait, 20, 25 minutes for the next boat to come around. That's just the way it goes. All right, we are zoning into the Ocean of Tears now, and you'll see that back then, back in 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002, all the way up until about Plains of Power. I think it was Plains of Power. Could have been Shadows of Luckland, but I think it was Plains of Power when the boats finally broke for good and they decided not to fix them anymore. This is how you traveled. Travel took time in this game. You didn't have the Plains of Power that have all the little clicky stones all over that'll transport you to any zone that you want to go to. No, you had to get the boat and you had to ride the boat to where you wanted to go if you were swapping continents. And if you weren't swapping continents, once you got to the continent, you either had to run or you had to have some kind of way of having someone teleport you. Find a friendly neighborhood wizard or druid who could give you a port to the next zone or the next continent for you. You'll notice we had a little pause there. It's because everybody was on dial-up back then. I was probably using a 28.8 modem myself. I knew a lot of people that I played with used 14.4, so you had a little 30-second pause as you first zoned in to try and make sure everybody actually zoned in with the boat. Even then, sometimes it didn't happen. Now, the boat route here does not take the truly classic boat route that it used to in the past. Now, this is Sister Island. This is where the Sisters of Erelisi are. And across from it is the Oracle Island, the island of the Oracle of Akanon. That's the guy that drops the Oracle robe you see here. That is a very good robe for intelligence casters. And the Sister Island over here, there are some dwarf smiths off to the side. And in the end, this is where you buy Keola nuts. There are several quests. There's some brewing recipes and baking recipes that require Keola nuts, and there's the famous quest Tumpy's Tonics that requires Keola nuts, and that's the only place that you get them. Now, the Oracle over there is a perfect example of what we've talked about with the whole camp times and all. The Oracle has a 6-hour spawn time. So after he spawns and he's killed, you've got 6 hours before he's going to spawn again. So that's the kind of length of camps you're talking about. Now, this island here with the tower that you see on top of it, this is the tower that the island you find the ancient Cyclops on. The ancient Cyclops was used for, he dropped an ancient ring, which was a hand-in for what they called journeyman's boots. Everybody wanted journeyman's boots because you clicked on them, and it basically gave you a very fast running speed. And he spawns on that island, and there's also a spell seller in that tower that sells like summoning spells. This kind of blasted rocky island to our left has a tower on it. It is covered with gargoyles and skeletons, and I remember doing quite a bit of hunting at the gargoyles over there, especially on my paladin. They were good hunting, and it was kind of a cross between which one you were going to get. The one on the right, this is Sea Fury Island. This is where the Sea Fury Cyclops spawn. There's some pirates on this island. There's a good number of things to kill and to hunt. And I think there is, I want to say there's a giant on that island as well that sits out in the water sometimes. But I may be confusing it with a different one. It has been quite a while since I were in these parts. All right, now we've got a long stretch here of boat ride with really nothing much on either side except for water. As I said, travel used to take a time. You really felt the size of the world here. Now, as I said, the boat here no longer goes on the actual classic path that existed in the real EverQuest back then. In fact, we are actually traveling backwards of the way it happened in real EverQuest back in 99 and 2000. For some reason, the developers of the real game had the boat going in opposite direction. When you went from Freeport, or when we went from Butcher Block to Freeport, you were supposed to be traveling from east to west, but they actually had the boat going from west to east. On P99 here, they flipped it so that you're actually heading in the right direction. But the boat only travels one route. There's one path that goes straight through the zone and hits all the different little areas and points of interest. And the boat goes the route one direction, and coming back it goes the same route in the exact opposite direction. The boat back in the classic era, back in real EverQuest, had two separate routes depending on which way you were going. And the sister island that we left back there and that whole area, that was only stopped at when you were going from Freeport to Butcher Block. So as I said, we're kind of reversing the route here. As you'll see though, the way it is now with the boat taking the same path, just reversing it, it actually stops at it going and coming now. Our next little island, you can just see it off there in the distance, that's the Illusosaur Island. There's a bunch of aqua goblins that live on that island, and there's a creature known as the Illusosaur, which is basically a giant lizard man model. It is walks bipedal, walks on 2 feet. It was kind of like Godzilla. It wasn't as big as Godzilla, but it was about the size of King Kong. You know, we're talking about a 40 or 50 foot tall lizard man that hit like a Mack truck. To the right here, and in the old days when the boat had 2 routes, you got a lot closer to that island. The boat on its way back would pass right by the island, and you'd often see the Illusosaur standing out there and walking around on the shore. This right here is a couple of twin peaks that have aqua goblins all over them. In the actual real life boat journey, the real boat passed right between those 2 peaks there, right between the 2 islands there. And you got to see all the aqua goblins up close and personal. Now we pass a little to the south. It's another one of those things that they've talked about fixing, you know, fixing the pathing issues and that sort of stuff with the boat, but just getting the boat working as well as it does and as often as it does has been a major accomplishment in and of itself. So, you know, I think fixing some of the other bugs are a little bit higher priority for them. Now, back off to the northwest of the Twin Spires over there, somewhere in that general direction, basically maybe about directly north of where we are right now, there is, about like right there, there is an island called Aviac Island. And that is the only island that this boat doesn't go close enough to actually see. When there were 2 routes, one just like the Illusosaur Island back there, the outgoing, the one we're on now, would pass right by it. Aviacs are on that thing. Those are the bird people. And it's good hunting. Various levels spawn out there, and they don't have faction. So you can kill as many of them as you like, as long as you pull them away from the others, and it doesn't piss off the other ones. They will assist each other, I think, but you don't like take a faction hit. They don't start hating you. It's like you can kill one away from it and then walk up to another one, and he doesn't have any opinion about you. Still traveling along, quite a ride, as you see another bit of blank ocean here. One thing about it in the day was, you know, one things you would do on the boats, you could fish off the side. I'll have to check and see if that still works or not. I know for a while there toward the end, it didn't work in EverQuest Live either. It was very rare that you could get the fishing rod to work. The other thing is occasionally you'd fall off the boat. And as you can imagine, a zone this big, which is all ocean, you have a problem with if you didn't have a good swimming skill, you would exhaust yourself and sink and drown eventually. And there are sharks in this water. And that was one of the bugs that you would occasionally have, is that occasionally the sharks would bug up and would attack people on the boat, and you could not attack them back. So you would be sitting here and you would be being attacked by a shark, and you would just end up being killed because there was no way for you to attack them back. It was just one of, let's say, the features you got used to. One of the added features here playing on EverQuest. We are coming up on the other inhabited island with a set of ends on it. Y'all saw Sister Island on the other end of the zone. I don't know if this one actually has a name or not. There's not really any feature on it that I know of. There are the inns here. There's some people that sell goods and that sort of thing. I can't even remember if I ever got off on this island. It rings no bells to me, so I don't know what quests are here or anything. This is one that still remained a bit of a mystery to me. But once again, we used to not stop at both of these. This one, when we were headed in the other direction, this is the island we would stop at. And we're headed in the direction we are now, the boat would stop at the sister island. The two paths, you had the two separate paths, and they did not stop at both islands. Now, since it follows the same path back and forth, of course, it will stop at both of them to make sure they're covered. Okay, this one seems to be a slightly longer wait than usual. Yep, there we go. Stop for a little while there. We are getting close. Oh, and as you see right there, those canoes right there. They're almost every island, not every island, but almost every island has those canoes. Those are actual boats. You can get a couple of people in them, and they are player-controlled boats. You can actually steer them and drive around the zone with them. The only problem is, once again, not every island has them. So if you drive one of these two, Aviac Island, for instance, does not have a boat. So if you drive one of these canoes over to Aviac Island, you have to remember that in about an hour, if it sits there for an hour unused, it will disappear and respawn back wherever you got it from. So if you're relying on Aviac Island, a canoe from Aviac Island, you got to make sure you start it at least once an hour. We'll take a look through the boat here right quick. I like the little bookcases and all. That was one thing I really liked about the old boats. I showed you the picture of the old boats at the beginning. They had a downstairs. They had a ramp that you went downstairs, and there was a bar down there. Nobody was attending it, but there was a bar down there. All right, finally we got the sirens and islands full of sirens and aqua goblins. And once again, when in the old days you passed a lot closer, you passed kind of in between them there, and you could actually get a really good close-up look at the sirens sitting on the water there. Another place where I never hunted. I didn't ever hunt the sirens. And there were other places where aqua goblins were a little easier to hunt, like over in Dagnor's Cauldron. The goblins there were a little easier to hunt, and you didn't have such a long run to get somewhere to catch a boat in order to get out of it. But yeah, as you see the channel there, the old boats used to go kind of in that channel and a lot closer to the rocks. So you got a much better view of what the sirens look like. We should be getting pretty close to the zone line here. And we'll be popping up over, I guess it's East Freeport will be the zone that we're going to pop into here. Going into the East Freeport docks. I hope y'all have enjoyed the little ride along. It has been a great little bunch of nostalgia to be able to get on a boat here again and just experience the Ocean of Tears the way it should be. We'll have to take a couple. There are several boat rides. There's one that goes from the other end of the continent of Antarctica here and goes over and visits the Eridine. Goes to the island of Erud and visits the home city of the Eridine. So that'll be fun to take that boat and compare and contrast it with this one as well. And we're back in a thunderstorm again. So we began this journey in a thunderstorm, and we're going to end it in a thunderstorm. I like running up on this part, get a little bit of altitude so we can see over the rail. We're coming into Freeport this time. We should see the zone, you should see the walls and the dock of the city coming up. And if you were an evil character, you were getting ready to jump off here because you would have to jump off, swim underneath the docks, and go into the sewer opening down underneath the docks to get into the city, so that you wouldn't have to worry with all the guards and all who sit there and patrol the place. Just like being a paladin who's gotten your soul fire, you would definitely want to make sure that until you had raised your faction enough with the guards, that's the way that you would have to travel by. And we are coming on up. Here is the East Freeport docks. We will be right beside them here in just a moment. Yep, here we go, coming on in. Now, the original boats, of course, as I said over there at Butcher Block, the original boats used to park lengthwise along the edge right here instead of pulling up to the side, but yeah, you take what you can get. I'm just so pleased that they got the boats working here on P99. It would be wonderful if they would share it, you know. But they put in a lot of work, I understand. Maybe one day, whenever I win the lottery, if I win the Powerball, I'll give them $1 million to give me their database and all their work. And so that I can have it on my private server and have real boats working there. All right, so we have achieved our little trip over here back over to East Freeport. And we will continue along with our journey into craft skills now. As the boat sails back off into the ocean.